Good day, grade 11 learners of Mabini National High School. For the third quarter of the second semester for this school year, one of our subject is physical science, and I will be your teacher in physical science for this semester. By the way, I am Mr. Renz Angelo Di Calzada, or you can call me Sir Jello, a special science teacher one of Mabini National High School. And for this week, we are going to start our discussion in physical science. I believe that you already received your module 1 for this week. And for our lesson this week is all about the star formation and evolution. So now, let us try to know what are our competencies and learning objectives for this specific lesson. But before that one, I want you to get your self-learning modules with you so that you will be guided as we have our discussion for this day in physical science. So for our most essential learning competency, give evidence for and describe the formation of heavier elements during star formation and evolution. Before we proceed with our discussion, let us try to answer some of the questions. But here are our learning objectives. I will be presenting it to you so that you are guided as to what are our expectations at the end of our lesson for this day. Number 1, you are going to identify the heavier elements formed in the star evolution and their atomic masses. Number 2, you are going to explain the formation of heavier elements in the stages of star evolution. And number 3, you are going to cite evidence about the formation of heavier elements during star formation and evolution. So I will just be talking about a little bit our subject, no? So I believe you are quite curious. Why are we learning all these things? So what is physical science? So technically, it is one of the branches of science. Particularly, we will be discussing and delving into chemistry and physics. I know during your junior high school, you already discussed lessons under chemistry and physics. So for physical science, for the second semester, it is divided into 2 quarters. We have the third quarter and the fourth quarter. During the third quarter, we will be discussing about chemistry. Therefore, we'll be dealing about chemicals, chemical equation, reaction, chemical products. We'll be dealing about the elements, the atom, and the such. And for the fourth quarter, that's the time that we are going to discuss about physics. So during physics, we'll be discussing about mass, we'll be discussing about energy, we'll be discussing about light, momentum, and electricity. But for now, since we are still in the third quarter, we will be discussing under chemistry. So that's why we are talking about in our objectives about the elements. So before we proceed with our main discussion for this morning, which is all about the star formation and the formation of other elements, let us try to answer some of the questions that has something to do with our lesson this morning. Let me just, try to know whether you have a prior knowledge to some of the basic concepts that we'll be discussing this morning. So these questions or the pre-test can be seen in your modules. So I want you to get your modules, and as I read the questions, I want you also to read it in your module, and let us try to answer all together each question. So by the way, we have 5 questions for the pre-test. Let us begin with the first question. Number 1. Where is the site of the formation of heavier elements in the universe? Again, where is the site of the formation of heavier elements in the universe? Is it asteroid belt? Letter A, asteroid belt. Letter B, is it moon? Letter C, is it star? Or Letter D, is it star? So where do you think the heavier elements are formed in the universe? Okay, so the correct answer is letter D, that is star. Okay, very good. For question number 2, here's the question number 2. Which of the following is the correct sequence of the evolution of the star? Letter A, main sequence star, supergiant, red giant, supernova. Letter B, red giant, supergiant, main sequence star, supernova. Letter C, main sequence star, red giant, supergiant, supernova. Letter D, supernova, main sequence star, red giant, supernova. So what do you think is the correct answer for question number 2? Okay, I know this is quite hard, but let us try to answer this. So the correct answer is letter C. The correct sequence of the evolution of the star is main sequence star, red giant, supergiant, and supernova. That is letter C. Now let's proceed to question number 3. What happens to the core temperature of a star as it ages or evolves? Again, what happens to the core temperature of a star as it ages or evolves? Letter A, decreases. Letter B, increases. Letter C, remains constant. Letter D, increases then decreases. What do you think is the correct answer? Okay, the correct answer is letter B. As what will happen to the core temperature of a star as it ages or evolves? The temperature increases. So did you get it right? Hopefully you get it right. Okay, now let's proceed with question number 4. For question number 4, in the main sequence star, what element is formed when hydrogen fused in the star's core? Again, in the main sequence star, what element is formed when hydrogen fused in the star's core? Letter A, beryllium. Letter C, helium. Letter B, carbon. Letter D, oxygen. Okay, the correct answer is letter C. Okay, the correct answer is letter C. That is helium. So I believe some of you have already read your module. So I think they have already an idea as to what will be the answer for the questions that we will be having this morning. Okay, very good. And now we are down to our last question for our pre-test. And the last question is, how is the heavy element carbon formed in a star's core? It is formed via blank. How is the heavy element carbon formed in a star's core? It is formed via A, explosion of the star. C, hydrogen fusion. Letter B, helium fusion. Letter D, oxygen fusion. So sorry no nagka-interchange ang letter C at letter B, but that is that's the corresponding letter. So this is what you can see in your module. So letter A, explosion of the star. Letter B, helium fusion. Letter C, hydrogen fusion. And letter D is oxygen fusion. So what do you think is the correct answer? Okay, very good. The correct answer is letter B. That is the helium fusion. So, students, how many correct answers did you get in our pre-test? Okay, so don't worry if you get a low score because this is just a pre-test and these concepts and the lesson itself we're going to discuss it thoroughly at this point. Okay? So now let us proceed on our main discussion. So I have a question. How do you think the universe was formed? Do you have an idea? How do you think the universe was formed? Paano ba nabuo ang universe? May idea ba kayo? So actually, I believe that you have already known about this one, and I think it is already, or you were able to encounter this one when you were, learning about how the universe, or some theories on how the universe or the earth was formed during your earth and life sciences. And one of those theory is the Big Bang theory, which is, this is the only theory that is mostly accepted theory as to how the universe began or formed. So what is the Big Bang theory? Scientists believed that the formation of the universe began through the explosion of a primordial atom which happened 13 billion years ago, and it is known as the Big Bang. And it became a theory that also explains the continuous expansion of the universe. So as based on what we have, understood on this passage, that the Big Bang theory or the universe began to a certain point. We don't know what is this point, or others say that it is called as a singularity, and that singularity exploded. But in a universe that is compared as a vacuum, di ba, kapag ang isang vacuum, when we talk about the concept of a vacuum, it doesn't have the presence of air in the vacuum. Kapag walang presence ng air, that means there is no mean for a sound to travel. Okay? So therefore, if we're going to describe what an explosion is, di ba, kapag merong pagsabog, naririnig natin, di ba? Boom! Di ba? But since as to where the singularity is located is like a vacuum, so therefore there is no air, then therefore there is no mean for there is no other way for the sound to travel. So therefore, as that singularity somehow exploded, there is no sound. So therefore, we cannot consider that one as an explosion. Instead, we refer to that one as an expansion. Okay? That is how the universe began according to the Big Bang theory. So let us delve deeper as to how the Big Bang theory started. So just like what I have said a while ago, that long time ago, there was still no Earth, there are still no stars, other planets, other, systems. There's still no universe. The only thing that is present before is this very, very small dot, which is called a singularity. If we are going to describe this singularity, the one that you can see on the screen, that the color blue one, the circle, it contains a lot of particles inside, and it is very hot, dense ball. Kapag sinabi nating dense, mabigat. Kapag sinabi nating very hot, so the temperature is very high. And it contains a lot of particles. So inside that singularity, as a very, very small ball, there are a lot of particles inside. So what happened? So let's have an example. So let's say inside a classroom, there are a lot of students. The normal student, or the normal number of students inside a classroom during a normal face-to-face classes is around 30 to 50 students. Pero let's say sa loob ng classroom, there are 100 students. What can you feel inside the classroom? Diba? Sobrang init. The temperature is increasing. Now, let's have another example. Try to rub your hand. What can you feel? Okay, mainit siya. So therefore, there is an increase in temperature as you rub your hand because of friction. So that is what also happened inside that singularity that has a lot of particles. These particles bump to each other, which made them rub to each other, causing friction. So as they rub each other, there is an increase in temperature. Kapag sobrang increase ng temperature, that means these particles' energy is also increasing. So their motion mas nag-faster sila. So the more faster, so that's it. That is the main reason why that singularity exploded or expanded, because of the intense increase in temperature na hindi na nakayanan ng singularity. So that's why that singularity, because of the increase of temperature, it expanded. Okay? So again, it is an expansion, not an explosion. So that is how the Big Bang, or that is how the universe began according to the Big Bang theory. Okay? So hopefully you understood how the universe began. Okay? Now let's proceed to the next slide. So now, after the singularity expanded, of course, the particles have been or had been scattered already, no, in that certain space where there is already a space because that singularity has expanded. That certain small ball, very dense, very hot, it expanded, it created space, and it created space for these particles to move freely. And if the space expanded, what happened to the temperature? It decreases. So, nagbaba ang temperature, ibig sabihin mas lumamig. Okay? Mas mababa pa sa 0 degrees Celsius. Okay? Mas mababa pa talaga. Kasi we don't have an idea how cold that was. So what happened to the particle? Some of the particles hardened. Okay? And some of the particles met each other, and some of them combined to each other. Okay? So what happened after the Big Bang? So right after the Big Bang, protons and neutrons combined together and formed light elements, hydrogen and helium, in the process of Big Bang nucleosynthesis. So these particles combined each other, combine until such time they created the protons and neutrons. What are these protons and neutrons? These are the elementary particles that can be found in an atom. These are the parts of an atom. I believe you already encountered, or do you know what's an atom all about and its parts? Diba meron siyang, in an atom, there is a nucleus. Inside that nucleus, there we can find the protons and the neutrons. And outside that nucleus, we have the orbitals, no? In that orbitals, dyan natin makikita yung electrons. So after this Big Bang, these particles combine together and they form protons and neutrons, and these protons and neutrons combine together. And what did they form? They formed light elements, which are the hydrogen and helium. So now, what do you call the process of the combination or the fusion? Okay, the fusion, the combining together of the protons and neutrons. Okay, so that is what you call the Big Bang nucleosynthesis. Okay, the formation of the light elements. And these are hydrogen and helium. Other light elements such as lithium and beryllium were also formed during this process. So madami. So during pala sa Big Bang nucleosynthesis, the fusion of the protons and neutrons, they were able to create these light elements. First, di ba, meron tayong hydrogen. Now we have also the helium, and lithium and beryllium were also formed during the Big Bang nucleosynthesis. Okay, do not forget that one. So now I want you to recall, no, I was mentioning about atom kasi baka meron sa inyo have already forgotten. What is an atom? How does it look like? What are the parts of an atom? So by the way, what is an atom? So I know since grade 1 pa, atom has been introduced to you, the concept of atom, in a very simple way that as a certain individual or a student can understand. So when we say atom, that means that is the basic unit of matter. Okay? When we say matter, that is anything that has mass and occupies space. For example, this comb that I have here, or suklay, this is a matter because it occupies space and meron siyang mass. Okay? So therefore, this is a matter. And ano nga yung definition ng atom? Atom is the basic unit of a matter. So therefore, this comb, which is a matter, is composed of atoms inside. Okay? How about you? How about us humans? Do we consider ourselves as matter? Yes, definitely. So therefore, since we are matter, we occupy space, we have mass. So therefore, inside of us are, atoms. You are made up of atoms. Okay? So inside an atom, there are several parts. And we call this as the elementary particles. So what are these elementary particles? First, we have the protons. Okay. Asan ang protons dyan? We have here the illustration. So as you can see, we have the red. Yan, yung letter P, that is the protons. Okay. So in this picture, how many protons can you see? There are 4 protons. And these protons carry the positive charge. Ayan. Next, we have the electrons, where you can see the electrons. Ayan, yung nasa labas, the blue one. How many electrons can you see? There are 4 electrons. And these electrons carry negative charge. How about the neutrons? So where you can see the neutrons. These neutrons come along with the protons. So the color yellow, okay, in the model. So how many neutrons can you see there? There are 5 neutrons. So what do you think is the charge of the neutron? Okay, it has no charge. So therefore, neutrons carry neutral charge or no charge at all. Okay, so, and as you can see in this model, diba, the protons and the neutrons are combined together. The totality of that, the combination of the proton and the neutron, that is what we call the nucleus. Okay, that is the nucleus. That is the nucleus. And the nucleus is located, or the location, that is the location of the protons and neutrons. Okay, do not forget that one, the location of the nucleus, or the location of the protons and the neutrons is in the nucleus. How about the electrons? Saan ba napapaloob ang electrons? So basically, the electron is located in the orbitals of the atom. Okay? Now let's proceed to the next slide. Okay, so now we have another concept here. It has something to do still with the atom. So as you can see, there are 4 atoms, there are also 4 electrons, and there are 5 neutrons. Okay? So now let us try to read this. The number of protons is the same with the number of electrons. Always remember that. As you can see in the model, there are 4 electrons. There are 4 protons rather. If there are 4 protons, that means there are also 4 electrons in that certain atom. Because remember, the charge of the proton is positive. Okay? And the charge of the electron is negative. Di ba may tinatawag tayong na opposite charge attracts each other. So laging may kapartner si positive and that is negative. So kaya kapag merong 4 protons, meron ding 4 na electrons inside an atom. Okay? So how about a neutron? Okay? So sa neutron, the number of neutrons depends. Okay? Depende siya. So in a periodic table, meron ka, I will be discussing that one later. So hindi natin mapipredict talaga kung ilan talaga yung number ng neutrons. Kasi meron tayo tinatawag na normal number of neutrons in a normal element. And meron din tayong tinatawag na mga isotopes, no? I believe you already encountered that one when you were still in grade 9, no? So balik tayo sa protons and electrons. Kung ilan ang number ng proton, yun din ang number ng electrons. If there are 5 protons, there are 5 electrons also. If there are 10 protons in an atom, there are also 10 electrons. Okay, always remember that. Now let's proceed on the next slide. Let us have an example. Try to look at your periodic table that can be found on the last page of your module. So hanapin ninyo ang periodic table na nandyan sa inyong module. So let us try to look at the element beryllium. Ano ba ang representation ng atom ng beryllium, ng element beryllium? Okay? So si beryllium, as we look at the model or the illustration in this presentation, si beryllium meron siyang 4 protons. So therefore, kung may 4 protons si beryllium, meron din siyang 4 electrons. Okay, so how many neutrons ang meron si beryllium? Meron siyang 5. So now, kapag titingnan mo sa periodic table, ayan, proceed tayo sa next slide para mas maintindihan mo. Meron kang mga numbers na makikita dyan. Okay? Dyan sa periodic table mo kay beryllium, okay, Be is the atomic symbol of the beryllium. Okay, that's Be. And the number that you can see on the upper left is what you call the atomic number. What does the atomic number represent? Okay, the atomic number represents the number of protons and electrons. Okay, so kung titingnan mo sa periodic table, yung sa upper left na number, 4. So that means merong 4 na protons at 4 na electrons si beryllium. Okay. For example, kung titingnan mo sa periodic table si carbon. Anong number ang makikita mo sa upper left ni carbon? That is 6. So 6 is the atomic number of carbon and therefore, si carbon meron siyang 6 protons and 6 electrons. Okay? So yun. Now, meron pa tayo makikita na number. Balik tayo dito kay beryllium. Meron ditong 9.01218. Let us try to round this. So, ang katabing number ni 9 is 0. So, if you will make this whole number, 9 pa rin ang lalabas. Kasi, basta below 5, ang katabi na number ng whole number, we will not round that up, no? So, hindi siya magiging 10. So, since that is 0, 9 pa rin. So, gawin natin siyang whole number. So, balik tayo. In a nucleus, inside the nucleus, doon natin makikita ang protons at neutrons. Okay? Sige. Ngayon, ang atomic mass ni beryllium ay 9. Kapag sinabi nating mass, yan yung mauna siya ang kabug-aton or ang ano sa Tagalog yung kabug-aton, yung bigat ni beryllium. So, saan ba nagkakaroon ng bigat? So, syempre, doon natin makikita inside the nucleus. Ano ba yung nasa loob ng nucleus? Merong proton at merong neutrons. Ilang protons meron si beryllium? Meron siyang 4 protons. So, paano natin malalaman kung ilan ang neutron ni beryllium? Paano natin malalaman? So, since sa loob ng nucleus, merong 4 na proton at tapos ang atomic mass ni beryllium ay 9. Paano mo malalaman ang number ni neutron? All you need to do is subtract. Or, mali pala, hindi natin i-subtract. We are going to subtract. I-subtract mo. So, 9 minus 4, ilan ang answer? That is 5. So therefore, there are 5 neutrons inside the beryllium. Now, anong kinalaman ni neutron, ni proton doon kay 9 na atomic mass? Kung i-add mo si proton at si neutron, ayan, 4 plus 5, that is equal to 9. So kapag i-add mo pala si proton at si neutron, lalabas ay si atomic mass. Okay? Because the proton and neutron, they comprise the nucleus which represents the mass of an atom. Okay? So kung titingin ka sa periodic table, let's say kay carbon, ano ba ang atomic number ni carbon? 6. So therefore, merong 6 na protons. Ano ba ang atomic mass ni carbon? 12. Okay? 12 ang atomic mass niya. So, paano mo malalaman ang number ni neutron? So, all you need to do is subtract mo si 12 minus 6. So, 12 minus 6, the answer is 6 also. So, how many neutrons are there? There are 6 neutrons. How many protons? There are 6 protons. How many electrons are there? There are 6 electrons. Okay, very good. Now, let's proceed. Another example. So, meron tayong dito. The element now, the element that we have now on the screen is lithium. So, si lithium, meron siyang atomic number na 3. Okay. Tapos, ang atomic mass ni lithium ay 6.941. So, i-round off natin ito. Ano ang katabing number ni 6? 9. Is 9 more than 5? Yes. So, mag-plus 1 tayo kay 6. So, gawin natin whole number ang atomic mass. Itong 6.941, magiging na siyang 7. Okay. Question. How many protons are there? There are 3 protons because the atomic number is 3 sa lithium. How many electrons are there? 3 din kasi the same number ang proton at electrons. Now the question is, how many neutrons are there? So all we need to do is we subtract the number of protons, which is 3, to the atomic mass. Ilan ang atomic mass ni lithium? That is 7. Kasi round off natin si 6.9. So 7 minus 3, that is 4. Okay, so therefore, the number of neutrons inside the atom of lithium is 4. How many protons in lithium? There are 3. How many electrons? There are 3 also. So as you can see on the illustration, itong nasa labas, yung color black, that is the electron. So basically, the number of the atomic mass, that is the number of the electron. And inside, in the nucleus, meron tayong makikita na color red na circles na merong plus signs. Ibig sabihin, kapag plus sign, positive charge, that is the proton. So how many protons can you see? 3. Kasi 3 ang ating atomic number. The blue one, what do you think is the blue one? Those are the neutrons. How many neutrons can you see? 4. So ibig sabihin, tama yung naging sagot natin kanina. So 7 minus 3 is equal to 4. There are 4 neutrons, 3 protons, and 3 electrons. Okay, very good. Now let's proceed on the next slide. Another example. Ito pala. Ito in-explain pala dito. Hindi ko nakalimutan ko. Meron pala explanation. So again, 3 is the atomic number that represents the number of protons and electrons. And sa baba, we have there the atomic mass, which is 6.941, and we are going to round that up since ang katabi na number ni 6 is 9, which is more than 5. So we will add 1 to 6, magiging 7. So the number of protons is 3, and our atomic mass is 7. How are we going to get the number of neutrons? We are going to subtract the atomic mass we are going to subtract atomic mass and atomic number, or the number of protons. So 7 minus 3, that is 4. Okay, so the number of neutrons is 4. So 3 plus 4, 7. That is the atomic mass. Okay? Another example, let's have hydrogen. Ayan. As you can see in hydrogen, the atomic number of hydrogen is 1. So therefore, si hydrogen meron siyang 1 proton and 1 electron. Let us try to look at its atomic mass. What is the atomic mass of hydrogen? That is 1.008. So if we're going to round off 1.008, ano ba ang katabi na number ni 1? That is 0. Is it less than 5 or more than 5? Less than 5. So therefore, hindi tayo mag-a-add ng 1 kay 1. So as is lang. So the whole number for our atomic mass is 1. So therefore, if that is 1, that only represents the number of proton. So if you're going to subtract 1 minus 1 to get the number of neutron, that is equal to 0. That means walang neutron si hydrogen. Okay? Did you get it? So, in a hydrogen atom, there is 1 proton, 1 electron, and 0 neutron. Okay? Let's have another example. Okay. There's no example anymore. So, gaya ng sinabi ko kanina, So those elements that I presented, we have the beryllium, we have the lithium, we have the hydrogen. Those are some of the light elements that are being formed right after the Big Bang theory, after the singularity expanded because of the combination or the fusion of the protons and neutrons, which were also formed from the particles from that singularity. Okay, so those elements again formed in the Big Bang nucleosynthesis are hydrogen. What else? Helium. You have the lithium and beryllium. Okay. Now let us try to read this. This comic can be found in your module. Let's try to read. Okay. So we have two characters here. Si boy at saka si girl. Ang name ni boy is Andres. Kaya lang hindi sinabi ang pangalan ni girl dito. So let's just have Andres and let's say the name of the girl is Sophia. Ayan. So let's try to read their conversation. So Andres, oh really? I don't know that. Okay. So una pala dito si Sophia. Andres, do you know that hydrogen is the most abundant element in the universe? Oh, really? I don't know that. Thank you. Ha ha ha. In fact, hydrogen, together with helium, lithium, and beryllium, were formed during Big Bang nucleosynthesis. I am learning a lot from you, Hannah. How about the formation of heavier elements? Interestingly, they were formed within stars. That sounds cool. I want to know more of that. Okay, ayun, si Andres pala ito at saka si Hannah. Nagbuot-buot pa dyan ko na si Sophia ang girl. Okay, so there are two characters here, Andres and Hannah, and we were able to read their conversation. So they were talking about the one that we have discussed a while ago, which is all about the Big Bang nucleosynthesis, wherein during the Big Bang nucleosynthesis, several light elements were being formed, such as the hydrogen, helium, lithium, and beryllium. And according to their conversation, the most abundant element in the universe is the hydrogen. Okay, always remember that. Pero may question si Andres, paano daw yung mga heavier elements? Di ba meron pang elements pagkatapos ni lithium, ni beryllium? Di ba? If you're going to look at your periodic table of elements, it doesn't stop in beryllium and lithium. It goes on. There are still a lot of elements. How about carbon? How about sulfur? How about oxygen? How about magnesium? How about manganese? How do these elements are being formed? So according to Hannah, these elements are formed within stars. Okay, so that sounds interesting. So let us try to know how these heavy elements are being formed inside a star. But first, let's try to answer these questions. First, what is the most abundant element in the universe? Okay, according to Hannah, the most abundant element is the hydrogen. Number two, what do you call the process in which heavier elements, for example, lithium and beryllium are formed? O paano daw yun sila na-form, yung mga light elements? That is through the, what do you call the process? That is the Big Bang nucleosynthesis. Yes, very good. Number three, where do formation of heavy elements take place? O yung mga elements pagkatapos ni lithium and beryllium, saan yun sila na-form? According to their conversation, these elements are formed inside the star. Okay. Now, let's delve deep about that one. So medyo interesting, no? So since we're talking about star here, so let's talk about star. Let's discuss about star. Ano nga ba ang star? What is a star? So let's read this. A star is a ball of gas strongly held together by its own gravitational force. The sun, our very own star, is the closest star to Earth and has been used by astronomers as a model in studying stars in detail. So, ibig sabihin, ang ating sun is actually a star. It just so happened that the sun is very near to us, kaya sobrang laki niya kung compared to other stars. Eh bakit naman yung ibang stars, sir, sobrang liliit? Nag-twinkle-twinkle lang sila doon sa sky. Because These stars are very far from us, kaya naman sobrang liliit lang nila. Okay, so always remember that our sun is our very own star. Okay, so let's continue reading. A star's life starts as clouds of dust and gas. Okay, interesting. Gravity pulls these clouds together. Okay, so may mga clouds. So these clouds are made up of particles and kasama na dyan yung mga protons, neutrons, and some of the light elements. What are those light elements? We have the hydrogen, which is the most abundant. We have the helium, lithium, and beryllium. Okay, let's continue reading. Various nuclear fusion reactions take place and drive the formation and development of stars. Okay? Stars within different masses grow and evolve or change throughout the different stages of their lives. So, ibig sabihin, si star pala, it's actually growing and it undergo several stages, no? Murabag parang a star is born and then it is parang naging siyang bata hanggang sa nag-teenager hanggang sa nagtanda na si star. So, meron siyang stages in life. Okay? So, for your information, so ito, the star, the sun, our sun, which is our very own star, is actually formed around 4.5 billion years ago. So, sobrang tagal na na-form ni star. Wala pang Earth, wala pang other planets. So, mas nauna talaga si sun. So, ang edad ni sun is 4.5 billion years old na. And according to some researchers and scientists, that this age of the sun is actually on the middle na. Kumbaga, nasa middle life na si sun. Okay? So, most probably, it will take another 4.5 billion years before this certain star of us, which is the sun, will get very old na talaga. Okay? So, ganun pala yun. Si star pala, para mabuo, there must be gas and dust and clouds. And these dust, gas, and clouds are made up of particles, those light elements, hydrogen, helium, lithium, beryllium, and other elementary particles, the protons and electrons. And they combine together to form a star. Okay? Now, let's proceed. Let's read. The outer space may seem like a vacuum, but in reality, it contains very thinly spread of gas and dust called the interstellar medium or ISM. Kaya nasabi ko kanina. And stars are formed from the accumulation or accretion or pag-combine together of these clouds and dust and gas, which is referred to as the molecular clouds. Okay? Then the gravitational energy pulls together. So, nag-build up sila, nag-fuse sila together, nag-combine. Ano yung nag-combine? Yung mga clouds of gas and dust, causing it to collapse, to come together. Okay? Bumuo. As the clouds of gas and dust collapse, they become denser. And this paves the way for the formation of stars. At doon pala nagsimula ang star. Yun yung clouds of gas and dust. The combination of them. The dense clouds of gas and dust are known as a nebula, which is the birthplace of stars. Yung merong mga clouds of gas and dust, kapag nagtapok na sila, nag-form na together, nag-fuse together, ang tawag doon ay nebula. And that is, according to the passage, the birthplace of stars. Doon nagsisimula at doon pinapanganak ang stars. Okay? The Orion Nebula, which is situated in our galaxy, the Milky Way, okay? So merong madaming galaxies, no, dito sa ating universe. But as to where our planets are located, or the planetary or the solar system is located, we are located in the Milky Way galaxy. And in the Milky Way galaxy, there is this, what we call the Orion Nebula, that is actually one of the brightest nebulae that can be observed in the night sky. Ano nga ba itong nebula or nebulae? This is the birthplace of stars. So in that certain Orion Nebula, madaming stars ang napoform dyan because it is the accumulation of the clouds of gas and dust. Okay? Hopefully you get that one. So ito, how are stars formed? So after the accumulation, the combination, the fusion of the clouds of dust and gas, ano nang next? Ang star ba ay mag-undergo ng several stages? Yes, and let us try to know what are the stages of life or the formation of stars. Okay? And this can also be found on your module. So this is how the star is being formed. So first, in letter A, it is where the dark cloud clumps. Okay, so those cloud of gas and dust, parang they are fusing together. Okay, they fuse together, and after that one, after their fuse, in letter B, they actually form now. They collapse in the center because of the gravitational force. This cloud of gas and dust form together, it hardens, and that is what we call the pre-stellar core. It actually created a core in the middle, which will serve as the core of the star later on. Then after that, after several thousand years, it will form a protostar. Okay, it will form a protostar. The gravitational force intensifies in that certain accumulation of gas of clouds of dust, and actually there is already a core in there. If there is a certain fusion, then therefore there is an energy that's being released, diba? Sabi ko kanina, if a certain particles come together, close together, magbabangga sila. And as they bump each other, creating friction, the temperature increases. So therefore, it causes heat, releases energy. Kaya naman, ang stars are very, very hot. Diba? Diba ang description kanina, it's a ball of fire. Diba? Kaya naman, ang ating sun, kaya naman sobrang init niya kasi it is a star and it releases energy. There's a continuous fusion inside of it. Okay? Then after the protostar, in letter D, that is the T Tauri star. Ayan. The time for this is after a million years after being a protostar, magiging siyang T Tauri star. No, the star will, because of the gravitational force that is being active on the core of that certain, protostar, that certain star will have its own rotation. And the gravitational force intensifies, and of course, the fusion also inside of it will also be intensified. The light elements and other particles inside will combine together, and as they combine together, it produces energy. It produces heat. So therefore, the temperature increases. So mas umiinit siya as time goes by, ang isang baby star. After the T Tauri star, magiging na siya pre-main sequence star. Ayan na. Lumalaki na siya because of the combination or the fusion of some elements or the light elements inside of it, of the star. So lumalaki na siya, and there's a concept that we have in our universe na kapag ang isang object meron siyang mass, there is a tendency for you to pull. Okay? Meron kang opportunity to pull something or an object. Just like the planet Earth. Diba? You know that the planet Earth has its natural satellite, which is the moon. Hindi ba kayo nagka-question bakit ang moon ay umiikot lang sa Earth? Hindi lumalayo ang moon. Bakit hindi umiikot ang moon kay Mars? Bakit hindi umiikot ang moon kay Venus? Bakit kay Earth lang? It is because of the gravity that the Earth has because of its mass and weight. Sino ba ang mas malaki? Si Earth or si Moon? Of course, si Earth. Mas maliit si Moon. Dahil mas maliit si Moon at malaki si Earth has now the power to pull the Moon. At hindi na siya umalis sa kanyang pwesto and it will just revolve around it. Gaya natin humans, bakit hindi tayo nag-float? Because that is because of the gravitational pull or the gravity that is present in the Earth. Okay? So, since maliliit tayo, at saka si Earth is really, really big, so therefore, the Earth can really pull us. Hindi tayo lulutang. Okay? So, that is the concept behind that one. So, sa pre-main sequence star, yung star dyan, nag-start na siya ng pull ng mga iba't ibang mga rocks, ng iba't ibang mga heavenly objects that is present in the universe. Okay? So after that one, after the pre-main sequence star, we have now the main sequence star. So this is the time where the star has been fully developed, no? A lot of fusion has been happening inside of it. Masyado ng madaming mga light elements and particles that is being fused together just to fuel the star, to keep it burning. At lumalaki siya. The more it gets bigger, the more it pulls objects na mas maliit sa kanya. And that is the time that it can create a system. Gaya na lamang ng ating sun. Okay? Ang sun natin, di ba merong planets and other rocks and what do you call that one? Yung mga maliliit na mga planets or protoplanets that is revolving around the sun. We have 8 planets, right? We have the Mercury, we have Venus, we have Earth, we have Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. So these planets are being pulled by sun dahil yan sa gravitational force na meron ang sun because the sun is bigger than these planets. Okay, that's why merong opportunity si sun na i-pull yung mga planets. And that is also the case to other stars. Okay, that is the case to other stars that can also form a planetary system. Okay, so that is now the stages in the formation of stars. So hopefully you were able to understand it, no? Ayan. This time, we are going to discuss, no? Diba kanina we mentioned about the protostars. So let us delve deeper. We are still in the stages in the formation of stars. So what is a protostar? So when the core temperature reaches about to 1,000,000 Kelvin, so imagine, 1,000,000 Kelvin, sobrang init na niyan. So that's the time the nuclear reaction starts. Okay? So as a result, the contraction is stopped and gravitational equilibrium is attained. The protostar has become a main sequence star. Okay, so that's the time. So now let's proceed on the next slide. Ayan, so dito na natin makikita. Now this will be the illustration of the fate, no? Or the evolution of the star. So a star starts from being a protostar. Ayan, from being a protostar, then after that one, it becomes a main sequence star. And merong dalawang kapalaran ang isang star. So there's a tendency that the main sequence star will grow much bigger than the sun of our sun. Mas sobrang lalaki siya. Okay? Pero meron ding ibang star na stars about the same size as the sun. Okay? So meron palang ganun. Merong mas malaki pa sa sun natin. At meron ding kasing laki lang ng sun natin. Okay? So unahin natin itong kasing size lang ng sun natin. If the main sequence star will become about the same size as the sun, after that one, after being a main sequence star, it will become a red giant star. Okay? Lalaki at lalaki siya. Okay? Pero dadating sa panahon na yung mga elements inside of that certain red giant star mauubos na wala na siyang mag-generate to fuel itself. So, there is a tendency na mag-shrink. Ano ba yung mag-shrink? Liliit. Okay, liliit yung red giant star. So, magiging siyang white dwarf. Okay? So, after being a white dwarf, mawawala na yung kanyang fuel, wala na siyang mag-generate, wala na magiging, there will be no nuclear reaction inside of it, there will be no fusion anymore, and its temperature decreases, and it's, there will be less energy being emitted, and that's the time it will become a black dwarf. Okay? So that is the fate of the stars that has the same size of our sun. Pero paano naman yung mga main sequence star na may opportunity pa na mas lalaki pa compared sa size ng ating sun? So same pa rin, magiging siyang red supergiant star, sobrang laki. Siguro mga 100 times bigger than our sun, no? Meron mga sun, there are stars that as big as like that in our galaxy, in other galaxies, sobrang dami niya. And what would be the fate? Kapareha pa rin, mauubusan siya ng elements inside that will fuel it. There will be no opportunity to have fusion of elements. Wala ng fuel. So ang magiging tendency, sasabog siya. Okay, sasabog. And that is what we call supernova. Supernova explosion. So nakakatakot, no? So sasabog siya, yung red supergiant star. So what will happen when a supernova explosion will occur in that red supergiant star? So merong dalawa. First, pwede siya magiging black hole. Ayan. So meron na kayong idea. Saan pala nagsisimula ang black hole? Ang black hole pala, it is a dead star. Okay. Black hole is a dead star. So after a supernova, a star may become a black hole. Pero, kung hindi siya magiging black hole, pwede siya magiging neutron star. Maliit na lang siya. Sobrang liit. Though, it will still have its light, it will still have its energy, may temperature pa rin, pero sobrang liit na. Okay? Para na lang siyang white dwarf. Okay? So, again, let's review. Yung mas lalaki pa sa ating sun, 100 times bigger than the sun, it will become red supergiant star. Then after that one, magkakaroon ng supernova explosion, and it will have two fates. It may become a black hole or it will become a neutron star. Yun ang mga stars na kasing laki lang ng ating sun, magiging siyang red giant star, and it will become a white dwarf, and it will become a black dwarf. Okay, so hopefully you are able to visualize and understand the evolution of star. So here it is. So stars that are similar in size to the sun follow the lower path in the figure: red giant star, white dwarf, black dwarf. Stars that are far greater in mass than the sun follow the upper path in the figure. Ayan, red supergiant star, supernova, neutron star, or a black hole. It depends on the size. Ayan. So, here it is. So, what do you think are the elements? Diba sabi kanina that heavier elements, heavier than lithium and beryllium, are being formed inside the star. Diba? So, what are these elements that are being formed inside the star? Magsisimula tayo sa main sequence star, which is the yellow star, which is our sun ngayon. Yellow star pa ating sun. Kasi ano pa ating sun main sequence star pa siya. Hindi pa siya naging red giant star. Kasi kung magiging red giant star, yan lalaki. So most probably, during that time, siguro mawawala na ang Earth yan kasi sobrang init na talaga. So our sun right now, which is a star, is in its main sequence, a yellow star. So its core temperature is 1.5 by 10 raised to 7 Kelvin. Okay? Description: in this stage, nuclear fusion of hydrogen occur in the core that convert hydrogen into helium. So 4 hydrogen atoms combine to make a helium atom and high energy gamma rays. This hydrogen fusion occurs in 3 steps. So due to this process, the temperature and density of the star's core increases up to 100 million Kelvin. As such, the star expands into a red giant. So ayan, ano yung mga elements na nagko-combine in a main sequence star? Meron daw doong hydrogen. Di ba sabi kanina, the most abundant element in our universe is the hydrogen. So this hydrogen, ilan ang kailangan? 4 hydrogen. Mag-combine ang 4 hydrogen to form an helium. So ano yung na-form sa main sequence star? Na-form ay helium. Ayan. Now let's proceed. How about sa red giant? What would be its temperature? The temperature is 2 by 2 times 10 raised to 8 Kelvin. And in this stage, several nuclear fusion reactions take place. It involves alpha particles. Ang ating alpha particles, that is the helium, and fusion of 3 helium atoms. Ayan. Then helium is converted to carbon in the core, while hydrogen is converted to helium in the shell surrounding the core. Then, the rate of fusion slows down. Gravity again squeezes the star. Hence, the star balloons into a supergiant as it accumulates mass and temperature. So, ayun. So, gaya na sabi ko kanina, during the main sequence star, 4 hydrogen will combine to form a helium. Tapos ngayon naman, helium atoms, 2 helium atoms will combine together to form a beryllium. And kapag naka-form na ng beryllium, si beryllium mag-combine na naman kay helium to form a carbon plus a gamma, which is an energy. Basta remember, every time there is a fusion, there is a combination or combining of elements together, lagi at laging merong resulting energy. It could be in the form of gamma rays, or it could be in the form of a beta or alpha rays. Okay? So in this case, again, 4 hydrogen combined together, it will form a helium. 2 helium will combine together, it will form a beryllium. Beryllium plus helium, it will form a carbon. Okay? Now, let's proceed. Now, we are now in the supergiant dito. Sa supergiant, dito na sobrang daming elements na ang mapopor. Anong temperature dito? Sobrang taas na, sobrang init. That is 7 times 10 raised to 8 Kelvin. And in the stage, carbon fusion occurs. The star undergoes a series of reactions as more alpha particles are fused to form heavier elements, all the way to iron in the core and in the shells around the core. The element oxygen is formed from carbon fusion, neon from oxygen fusion, magnesium from neon fusion, silicon from magnesium fusion, until iron is formed. This process makes the core and star itself more massive. Ayan, so nagko-combine. Ang una, di ba, dyan sa ating red giant, ang pinaka-last na form is our carbon, which has 6. Ang carbon, ang atomic number ng carbon is 6 at ang atomic mass niya is 12. Remember that. And pagdating dito sa ating supergiant, si carbon ay magko-combine siya with helium. So, in this case, so makikita natin, yung number na nasa taas, that is the atomic mass, at yung number na makikita natin sa baba, that is the atomic number. So for us to identify the product, titingin tayo sa atomic number. Okay? Always remember that titingin tayo sa atomic number. Kapag sasabi ka ng ano yung element kapag ang atomic number is 6, automatic, that is carbon. Kapag 8, anong atomic number? What is the element? That is oxygen. Okay? Always look at the atomic number, which is written below. So now, the atomic number of carbon is 6, and it is fused with helium, which has an atomic number of 2. all you need to do now is to add 6 and 2. So 6 plus 2, that is equal to 8. So now, titingnan mo na si 8 doon sa periodic table mo. Ano ba si 8 sa periodic table? What element that has an atomic number of 8? That is oxygen. And that is how oxygen is being formed. Okay? Now, since na-form na si oxygen, itong si oxygen magbabind na naman kay helium. So oxygen has an atomic number of 8 and helium has an atomic number of 2. 8 plus 2 is equal to 10. Sino si 10 sa atomic number? That is neon. And that's the time neon is being formed. Now, neon is being fused to helium. So 10 plus 2, sino si 12 sa periodic table? Atomic number, element that has an atomic number of 12 is si, tingnan mo sa periodic table, sino yan siya? Si magnesium. Okay, very good. Now, magnesium, which has an atomic number of 12, is being fused with helium, which has an atomic number of 2. So 12 plus 2, that is equal to 14. So sino si 14 sa periodic table? That is silicon. Silicon is being fused with helium. So 14 plus 2, ayan, that is equal to 16. Sino si 16 sa periodic table? That is sulfur. Very good. Now, sulfur is being fused with helium. So 16 plus 2, that is equal to 18. Sino si 18 sa periodic table? That is argon. Very good. Argon. So argon is fused with helium. 18 plus 2, that is equal to 20. Sino si 20 sa periodic table? Tingnan mo sa periodic table. Ang merong atomic number na 20. Sino siya? Si calcium. Okay, very good. Calcium is being fused now with helium. 20 plus 2, that is equal to 22. Sino si 22 sa periodic table? That is titanium. Okay, very good. Now, titanium is being fused naman kay helium. So, 22 plus 2, that is equal to 24. Sino si 24 sa periodic table? That is chromium, Cr, with atomic symbol Cr, si chromium. Now, si chromium, ito na, chromium, dito, tingin tayo dito, si chromium, may 24 siya na atomic number, is being fused to helium, which has an atomic number of 2. So, 24 plus 2, that is 26. Sino si 26 sa periodic table? That is si iron. Ang atomic symbol ni iron ay Fe, ha? Okay, ferrous. Pero the name is iron. Atomic symbol is Fe, which has an atomic number of 26. Ayan. So sa supergiant, magsta-start siya kay carbon. Ayan. And it will end with iron. So what are the elements that are being formed in supergiant? We have the oxygen, neon, magnesium, silicon, sulfur, argon, calcium, titanium, chromium, and iron. Okay, very good. Okay, so now sir, how about naman those elements after ni iron? Saan sila mapuform? Okay, they will form in the, do you have an idea? Okay, the supernova. Tingnan mo sa periodic table mo. Ano kaya yung mga elements after ni iron? So most probably, those elements after iron, which has an atomic number of 26, are being formed during the supernova explosion. So ano ang temperature during supernova explosion? That is 1 times 10 raised to 11 Kelvin. Let's read this. Finally, in this stage, the core is eventually unable to further generate energy to resist gravity due to the formation of heavier elements. Okay? The gravity squeezes the core until the star explodes and releases high amount of energy into space enough to form elements heavier than iron, such as thorium and uranium. So, hindi lang natin isali yung mga transuranium elements, no? Kindly look at your periodic table. Merong naka-label dyan ng mga transuranium elements. So, hindi natin yun sila isasali, okay? So, yung mga elements after iron, those are the elements that are being formed after or during the supernova. Subsequently, these elements are absorbed in the dust that condense to form new stars. Such star explosion is known as the supernova. Ayan. So again, ano yung mga elements na napo-form during supernova? Elements with atomic mass or weight heavier than iron, yun sila. Those are the elements that can be formed during the supernova. Except lamang doon sa mga transuranium elements. Okay? Hindi yun sila kasali. Okay, so hopefully you are able to understand it. What are the elements, no, that are being formed for every stages of the star during the evolution of star. So we have here a periodic table, no. So in this periodic table, makikita talaga natin dito kung saan napo-form yung mga elements. Diba, during the Big Bang nucleosynthesis, ay yung mga na-form. We have the hydrogen. Meron tayong helium. We have the lithium and the beryllium. Now, saan naman na-form yung mga how about during the main sequence star? Ano yung na-form doon? So, merong beryllium, meron tayong carbon. Then, after that one, si carbon, the star will become a red giant star. Then after that, carbon will fuse with helium to form oxygen. Then after neon, then we have the magnesium, then so on. Basta doon kay red giant or super red giant star hanggang kay iron lamang, which has an atomic number of 26. So therefore, ito si copper, cobalt, nickel, copper, zinc, gallium, germanium, astatine, selenium, bromine, krypton, ito sila and so on will be formed during the supernova explosion. Okay? So hopefully, nakuha ninyo kung ano yung mga elements na form for every stage in the evolution of stars. Now, this time, let us talk about the fusion reaction. So, ito siya madali. Actually, this is activity 2 in your module. So, magbibigay ako ng example sa inyo para you will be guided, and you will have an idea as to how you are going to answer it. So, this is the mechanism on how the elements or the atoms are being fused in a certain stage in the star doon sa discuss natin kanina. So we have here in the series of fusion reactions, step 1 always begin with this one. Okay? This is hydrogen with a what we call a coefficient of 4. This coefficient of 4 is being being multiplied to 1 to each of the atomic mass and atomic number. So 4 times 1, 4, 4 times 1, 4. Pero however, along the process, doon sa ating atomic number, it will not become 4 because it will release 2 electrons. So magiging 2 siya. Sino ba si 2 na atomic number sa periodic table? That is helium. So our product now will be helium plus 2 electrons plus 2 neutrinos plus energy. So bakit merong dalawang neutrinos dyan? 4 lang yun. So 2 plus 2 plus 2, 6 na. So wag kayong makonfuse, yung neutrinos dyan ay walang kinalaman sa pag-add at pag-subtract natin because neutrinos are the very, very, very small particle in an atom wherein it has no mass, almost massless. Ayan. So wala siyang kinalaman. So may kinalaman dito si 2 na atomic number ni helium at yung ni-release na 2 electrons. So that is for step 1. And for step 2, since we already have now our helium, 3 helium Ayan, tatlong helium magfo-form, will combine together to form a carbon. Ayan. So 3 times 4, that is 12. 3 times 2, that is 6. So 6 atomic number, if you're going to look at that in our periodic table, siya ay si carbon. Plus energy. Always remember, if there is a fusion of elements, since 3 helium are being fused together, so therefore, there will be a product, and part of the product is an energy that is being released caused by the fusion. Okay? Now, let's proceed to step 3. For our step 3, ayan, ito na. Dito na magsa-start yung sasagutan ninyo. For our step 3, again, carbon plus carbon. So, all you need to do is to add the numbers. So, 12 plus 12. By the way, ano itong nasa taas? That is our atomic mass or atomic weight. Sa baba, that is our atomic number. Ang concern natin for us to identify what particular atom or what particular element we're referring to is titingin tayo sa number sa baba. Okay? So 6 plus 6, that is 12. Sino si 12 sa periodic table? Anong element na merong atomic number na 12? That is magnesium. So therefore, the answer for number 1 is magnesium, which is an atomic number of 12 and atomic mass of 24. Step 4, ito. Same lang pa rin ito na I think nagkamali lang ito, parang nag-duplicate lang yata yung sa module ninyo. So still, this is magnesium kasi parehas lang naman. 6 plus 6, 12. Atomic number of 12, that is magnesium. Let's proceed to step 5. Okay, so ayan pala no. So, kanina, carbon, 6 plus 6 is 12. So, sino si 12 dito? Ayan, si magnesium. Okay? Now, let's proceed to step number 5. Ayan, carbon is being fused with helium. So, tingin lang tayo always sa ating atomic number, yung nasa baba. So, 6 plus 2, that is 8. Sino ba si 8 sa atom sa ating periodic table? Ano yan siya na element? So, tingnan natin sa ating periodic table. Atomic number, okay, that is oxygen. Very good. So, therefore, the answer for number 3 is oxygen, which has an atomic number of 8 and atomic mass of 16. Bakit 16? Kasi 12 plus 4 is equal to 16. Step 6, ayan. Oxygen plus oxygen, 8 plus 8, that is equal to 16. Ayan. Sino kaya si 16 sa periodic table? Tingnan natin sa periodic table. Okay, 16. Ayan, si sulfur, 16. So therefore, the answer for number 4 is sulfur. How about its atomic mass? Ano yung atomic mass? I-add mo lang si 16 plus 16 is equal to 32 rather. Ayan. So since you already know how to answer this one, kayo na ang sasagot ng the rest of the items here for step 7, step 8, ayan. For step 9, step 10, step 11, step 12, and step 13. Ayan, sa step 13 wala ka nang sasagutan, hanggang 12 lang pala. Okay? So hopefully you are able to understand, no? How these elements are being formed inside a star, in every stages of star, in the evolution of star. So sobrang interesting, no? Nagsimula tayo kung paano na-form ang universe, hanggang sa na-form yung mga elementary particles, na-form yung mga light elements, na-form ang star, nag-evolve ang star, it becomes a main sequence star, it became a giant, super red giant, it underwent supernova, hanggang sa naging black hole. So, it just really interests us a lot, no, as to how things were being made. So, it was just very, very beautiful, no? If we will just delve deeper, I know some of you are very curious and have a lot of questions in your mind. So, I would suggest, no, that you will make your own research for you to answer your own queries. Okay? So now, ano bang evidence natin that the Big Bang Theory really exists, no? That all these things that we are discussing do really exist. So we have two evidences. So these are the pieces of evidence. Number one, discovery of interstellar medium. So this interstellar medium filled the empty space between the stars. Ayan. So meron space inside of it. The molecular clouds of this medium are dense regions where the concentrations of gas and dust are thousands of times greater than elsewhere. It has become a reservoir from which matter like stars can be formed. Hence, it proved a major piece of evidence which supported the star formation theory. So meron daw sila mga nakita in some of the stars that inside of it there is a halo, and inside of that halo there is a formation of clouds, which is actually evident as to how the star began, di ba? Paano ba na-form yung star? There is clouds of gas and dust. It compacted together, it accumulated together due to gravitational force, it formed a core, and later on it formed a protostar. So that is one of the evidence, no? How things began, no? How these elements began. And it really gives us an idea that the Big Bang Theory is actually the most acceptable theory among the theories of the creation, or I mean how the formation of the universe. Number two, the second piece of evidence that we have is the infrared radiation. This heat energy is emitted from different stages of star formation and evolution. So most of the new stars cannot be seen in the visible light because dense clouds of gas block their light. But using infrared spectrum, it reveals the young stars behind the column of gas and dust. Through this, infrared radiation or IR has given us keys to unlock the mystery of the universe and to explain how stars are born and to trace the origin of galaxies. So actually, yung mga baby stars, yung nandoon 'di ba sa parang nebula, hindi talaga yun natin nakikita because it is covered with clouds of gas and dust. But these nebulae, inside of the nebulae, they are emitting infrared radiation. And through infrared radiation, our scientists, our astronomers can identify that there is a formation of, star. No, there's a formation or there is the birth of a star. So that is because of the infrared. And these pieces of evidence are really important that will really justify on how the star is being created. And this will also give us an idea on how the galaxies are being created, which will be traced as to how the universe is being formed. Okay? And these traces of infrared light are scattered all over the universe, and some of them can be used to identify kung gaano na ba talaga katanda yung ating universe. And don't you know that our universe is expanding continuously from being a singularity? Expansion didn't stop there. Expansion continues. So ibig sabihin, our universe is getting bigger and bigger. Anong evidence niyan? Because based on what I have read, there are two galaxies. I think it is the Andromeda Galaxy and our Milky Way galaxy are the distance between them is becoming greater. The distance between them is becoming bigger. So lumalayo sila from each other. So that means that our universe is expanding continuously. And that is really exciting and interesting, di ba? So hopefully, as our scientists, our astronomers, our physicists continues to study about the evolution of our stars, on how the universe began, on what will be the future, on what awaits us in the future. Hopefully, it could give us an idea, and it could also be shared to us so that we can have knowledge on how things how things work, in our universe. Okay. So now let's proceed on the next slide. So this time you are going to answer this. Activity 1, unlocking heavier element supply. So this is very easy. All you need to do is supply the needed information in the table below. For the third column, please refer to the periodic table of elements on page 16 as you answer. Okay? So the first item is done for you. So isa lang naman yung element na form, di ba, sa main sequence star, and that is the helium. And tingnan mo doon sa periodic table mo, which can be found on the last part or the last page of the module, the atomic mass or weight of the helium is 4.0026. Okay? So now, you are going to supply ano ba yung napo-form dito sa red giant star. So, and what is its mass or atomic mass and weight? And ilalagay mo dito yung supergiant. What are the elements that are formed in the supergiant star? Di ba madami yun? I will give you one. Meron doong oxygen. So, madami yun sila. So, ilalagay mo siya dito and ilalagay mo dito yung kanilang atomic mass or weight sa gilid. Again, not the atomic number, but the atomic mass or weight. Okay? So now, so you will also answer the process questions in activity 1. So you're going to answer it briefly. So let us just try to read the questions. So number 1, what do you observe to the atomic mass or weight of the elements as the star ages evolves? So anong nangyayari sa kanilang atomic weight? So please explain. So number 2, how is the heavier element carbon formed in the process? Kanina, we were able to discuss that one. Paano na-form ang carbon during the process of the fusion? Okay. Now, for question number 3, how are heavier elements like oxygen, neon, magnesium, iron, and the like formed in supergiant star? O paano daw? Paano yun sila na-form? Diba? There was a fusion of one element or the alpha element, and that is, okay, o bigay ko na ng clue, starts with letter, its chemical symbol is He. So I want you to explain how these elements are being formed. Oxygen, neon, magnesium, iron, and other elements that are along with these elements are being formed. For number 4, what piece of evidence supports that young stars are formed from gas and dust particles? So I already gave this one a while ago, the pieces of evidence. So I just want you to explain on your own words, no? What are the pieces of evidence that supports that young stars are formed from gas and dust particles? And let us assess, okay? So let us try to answer these questions. So question number 1, in the main sequence star, what element is formed when a hydrogen fused in the star's core? Is it helium, beryllium, carbon, or oxygen? Okay, what do you think is the correct answer? The correct answer is letter A. It's helium. 4 hydrogen fused together to form a helium. Okay, question number 2. At approximately what temperature can nuclear reaction in a star's core occur? Letter A, 100,000 Kelvin. Letter C, 10 million Kelvin. Letter B, 1 billion Kelvin. Letter D, 100 million Kelvin. Ayan, so I think you can find this one in the table that you can find in your module and the one that I showed you a while ago. So the correct answer for question number 2 is letter C. That is 1 million Kelvin. 1 million pala, sorry. 1 million Kelvin. So for question number 3. Question number 3. Through what process are stars in the universe formed? Okay, letter A, nuclear fusion. Letter C, nuclear decay. Letter B, nuclear fission. And letter D, nuclear transmutation. So what do you think is the answer? Okay, the correct answer is letter A. That is nuclear fusion. Diba? Balik-balik ako kayo na. Fusion, combined together. Okay? Question number 4. How is the heavy element carbon formed in a star's core? Paano daw si carbon na form? A. Explosion of the star. Letter B. Hydrogen fusion. Letter C. helium fusion. Letter D, oxygen fusion. Oh, magaling na kayo nito. What do you think is the answer? The correct answer is letter C. That is helium fusion. Very good. Let's proceed to question number 5. Where is the site of the formation of heavy elements in the universe? Oh, madali. Letter A, asteroid belt. Letter B, Earth. Letter C, moon. Letter D, star. The correct answer is letter D, star. Syempre, ang mga elements are being formed inside the star. Okay? Now, let's proceed to question number 6. How many helium atoms fuses together to produce carbon? Ilang helium atom ang kailangan para makaform ng carbon? Letter A, 1. Letter B, 2. Letter C, 3. Letter D, 4. The correct answer is letter C. You need 3 helium atoms. So, diba, the first 2 helium atoms combine together to form a beryllium. And a beryllium fuses with another helium to form carbon. So, how many helium are there? There are 3 heliums to form carbon atom. Let's proceed to question number 7. What piece of evidence of star formation provides a view of stars due to their heat energies? Letter A, abundance of light elements. Letter C, redshift. Letter B, infrared radiation. Letter D, interstellar medium of gas and dust. Sorry, nag-interchange ang C and D, pero ang corresponding letter is correct. Okay? So what do you think is the correct answer? Okay, very good. The correct answer is letter B. That is infrared radiation. Now let's proceed to question number 8. What heavier element can a supergiant star only produce up to? Letter A, helium. Letter B, carbon. Letter C, iron. Letter D, magnesium. Ayan, I will give you 5 seconds. 5, 4, mali pala. Sorry. 3, 2, and 1. Ayan. So the correct answer is letter C. Very good. Now let's proceed to question number 9. Which of the following is correct sequence of the evolution of the star? Ito. Masyado na kayong magaling dito. Letter A, main sequence star, supergiant, red giant, supernova. Letter B, main sequence star, red giant, supergiant, supernova. Letter C, red giant, supergiant, main sequence star, supernova. And letter D, supernova, main sequence star, red giant, supernova. Again, what do you think is the correct answer? I'll give you 3 seconds. 3, 2, and 1. The correct answer is letter B. That is main sequence star. Tapos magiging red giant, magiging supergiant, and it will undergo supernova explosion. Let's proceed to number 10. What stage of the evolution of the star produces the element iron? Saan yun banda? Anong stage yun? Letter A, main sequence star. Letter B, red giant. Letter C, supergiant. Letter D, supernova. I'll give you 3 seconds. 3, 2, and 1. The correct answer for number 10 is letter C. That is the supergiant. Now let's proceed with question number 11. Ayan. Here's the question. What fuel is needed in a red giant star to begin its fusion reaction? Letter A, hydrogen. Letter B, helium. Letter C, carbon. Letter D, iron. O, paano daw mag-start yung red giant star? I'll give you 3 seconds. 3, 2, and 1. The correct answer is letter B. That is helium. Very good. Now, let's proceed to question number 11. What signals the doom or death of a star? Uy, ano daw? Paano daw yung signal kung malalaman natin na death na ng star? Letter A, nucleosynthesis. Letter B, formation of iron. Letter C, supernova. And letter D, alpha fusion. I will give you 3 seconds. 3, 2, and 1. The correct answer for number 12 is letter C. Very good. Supernova. Yun na, mag-explode na, di ba? So now let's proceed to question number 13. Sorry. How are elements heavier than iron or with atomic symbol Fe formed? Paano daw na-form? Paano siya na-form? So letter A, supernova. Letter C, hydrogen fusion. Letter B, helium fusion. Letter D, fusion of more alpha particles. So I'll give you 3 seconds. 3, 2, and 1. The correct answer is letter D, fusion of more alpha particles. Bakit more alpha particles? Kasi helium is considered as alpha particle and it combined with different atoms along the way para maka-form ng iron, di ba? Meron doon si carbon, nandoon si oxygen, si neon, si magnesium, si silicon, si chromium, and until such time makarating na kay iron. Okay? Let's proceed to question number 14. Ayan, last 2 questions. What happens to the mass of a star as time goes on? What happens to the mass? Ano nangyayari sa kanyang kabigatan? Letter A, lighter. Letter B, heavier. Letter C, constant. Letter D, equilibrium. I'll give you 3 seconds. 3, 2, and 1. The correct answer is letter B, heavier. Very good. And now we are down to our last question for our post-test. What happens to the core temperature of a star as it ages or evolves? So, ano nangyayari sa kanyang core temperature? Letter A, decreases. Letter B, increases. Letter C, constant. Letter D, increases then decreases. I'll give you 3 seconds. 3, 2, and 1. The correct answer is letter B, increases. So, syempre, the more fusion, the more increase in temperature. So, mas lalaki yung star. Okay? So, did you get? What score did you get? So, hopefully, no, mataas yung score ninyo since all of those things were being discussed by us, no, today. So, now, let's proceed to your next activity. This is let us enhance. So, activity 3, to transform or not. So, let's read this. Elements transform or change into new ones through nuclear reaction. Similarly, humans change over time due to several factors such as experiences, society, and technology. Is change necessary for humans? Wait, this time you are going to relate the changes or transformations that are happening in our stars, di ba? Nag-evolve yung star natin, nag-change siya. So, sabi dito, is it necessary ba daw for us humans to undergo change? Is it necessary or not necessary? So, I want you to explain your answer in a yellow paper, okay? I am very much excited to read all your answers for this. So, as much as possible, I want you to be honest in answering this question, okay? Now let's proceed to our by the way, here this will be the rubrics, no, on how am I going to grade you in answering that the one that let us enhance for activity 3, to transform or not. So since it will be in an essay type, so I will be using this rubric to assess your reflective essay. So we have criteria here: the depth of reflection, quality of information, and the structure and organization. Okay? Now let's proceed to this one. Oy! Now may tanong ako, how can you apply your learning in your daily life? Okay? How can you apply your learning in your daily life? Yung mga natutunan nyo as you study the module, the lesson about star formation and the formation of elements. So, how can you apply this one in your daily life? What do you think is its significance? So, I want your answer to be placed in the comment section of this video lesson, and then I will be giving you corresponding points to your answer for this. Okay? So, I would be very excited for you to put your answers in the comment sections, and I am very excited to see all of them and read. And another question. Still, you are going to answer this one in the comment section. What are your learnings for today's lesson? For sure, I will be expecting that you have learned a lot in our discussion this morning. No, sobrang interesting ng ating lesson today, which is all about the star formation and evolution and also the formation of elements. So what are your learnings for today's lesson? So I want you to pick at least three significant learnings no, that you have no, as we have our discussion today, what you have learned in watching this video lesson. And I want you to put this one in the comment section and I will be giving you 10 points for this as you put your answers in our comment section. And I will be very, very excited to read all your answers. So for your assignment, ito, to all the students, so, and, sorry, this is not included. Ayan. So, do you have some questions? Ayan. If may mga tanong kayo, so kindly chat me no, in our group chat, or you may personally message me if you have questions with regards to our modules. I would be very glad to entertain you and answer your queries. Okay? Kung nahihirapan kayong intindihin yung mga laman ng module ninyo, related to physical science. So I am here to help you understand the things that you are having a hard time understanding. Okay? So once again, thank you so much for watching this video lesson and hopefully you'll learn a lot from our discussion this morning. So once again, I am your physical science teacher for the second semester. I am Mr. Renz Angelo Di Calzada. And hopefully to see you on our next video lessons and online classes in physical science. Goodbye, everyone. Have a great day. Keep safe and healthy.